Hello everyone, it is brilliant to have you here. A very big welcome to my channel. If you can hear a noise in the background, my little dog Rosie has decided that she wants to sit and chew on a bone while I'm recording. So we're just going to have to put up with the background noise, unfortunately. It's a very, very big pleasure to have you here. If this is your first time here, a massive welcome to you. If you are a returning viewer, of course, it is amazing to have you back again. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like the content if you are enjoying the content here, because it will help the algorithm, but it will also help me understand that you are enjoying it and that you want more of this. Maybe even tell me that in the comments as well, if you want more of it, less of it, or if you want it to change, or if there's any additional parts that you would like me to cover. I am Gemma Lonsdale. I am a prophet, a speaker, an author. You can see my book in the background there called Wisdom Proverbs for Today, and you can pick that up on Amazon, and I will make sure and pin the link for you down below as well, so you can get easy access to that. And today I really felt called to talk about something very, very different. And it's really about how we love ourselves as people, or how we think we love ourselves, but we don't love ourselves enough, and how that really impacts us in our life. So one of the reasons why I have felt so called to actually deliver this is because my own journey was guided by God. I was guided by, the higher realms on my own journey of learning how to love myself. And I always knew that it was going to be something that I would teach and impart knowledge and wisdom on to people. Because yes, you may know me for my prophecies and maybe personal sessions that many of you will have had with me over the years, but it's that wisdom that I get for you guys, whether it's something that's politically charged or it's about your own personal love life, whatever it might be, I get that wisdom for myself. So I have had someone in the spirit world taking me by the hand and walking me through all of these changes that I've had in my own life. And for those of you who don't know my own personal journey, I had a massive spiritual awakening back in 2018, 2019 that was triggered by a couple of different things. I had a separation. Me and my husband, my ex-husband, my daughter's dad, we had decided to separate, and I was actually moving out of the family home and was intending to move into a property that another property that I owned at the time. And I also found in that same week that I had cancer, and that was my first cancer diagnosis. Since then, I have had a massive spiritual awakening. I have went through so many transformations myself as a person, and I've had another 2 cancer diagnoses on top of that. So that's three cancer diagnoses all at once. So it's obviously been a very crazy 7 years. I talk about it as being my personal tribulation because that's how it has felt. So during that time, I have been given the guidance that I've needed on my own life in order to transform myself. And yes, that journey is never finished. I always say that the personal journey that we go on is never finished. We can never say that we love ourselves 100% because there's always a space for expansion and for more improvement and to do just that little bit more. We're never the finished article. We're always going to be improving. So I want to impart that knowledge onto you. And one of the reasons being is, excuse me, you will notice that in my prophecies that I do bring through, a lot of it talks about how we have handed off our personal power, how we don't trust ourselves. And actually, whenever we don't love ourselves as much as what we should, it really impacts on how confident we feel. So whenever we're pouring into ourselves, we feel more confident, we feel more self-assured in who we are, what we stand for, what is right and wrong. We have a much larger, a much stronger gut instinct, and we feel that more, and we actually trust that more. So we can tell the difference between the words that someone is sharing with us versus the energy that is behind those words. We can start to trust our intuition a lot more, which is a big part of actually connecting in with God on a more deeper level. Anyway, you may say God, you may say source, you may talk about the spirit world, and it doesn't really matter what label you attach to it, okay? It's about that higher energy that we connect into, the universe, whatever. It doesn't matter what label you attach to it. But whenever we are loving ourselves as I said, we become more self-assured and we trust that gut instinct. We become more self-assured in who we are. We're more confident. We're more reliant on our own personal validation and less reliant on needing the approval of somebody else, needing our boss to say that we're doing a good job, or needing our parent to say, I'm really proud of you, or even needing a partner. We don't need a partner or a potential partner to be interested in us or to feel, a certain way about us in order for us to feel good about ourselves. So those are the sorts of things that we can really change and transform on our journey. So what does self-love not like? Because I want to touch on this, because actually so many of us will think, well, actually I do love myself. I do love myself. And I was one of those people. So I would have said back in, if I take you back to maybe 2014, 2015, I had my daughter, and I really felt like I did love myself. Like I would have had my nails done, I had my lashes done, I was using the tanning beds. So to me, I was loving myself. I was buying myself nice clothes. I always did my hair good. So to me, I was loving myself. But actually, self-love takes into consideration mind, body, and spirit. It's not just about making yourself look good. It's about nourishing yourself from the inside and dealing with all of those times that you're triggered. So some of the things that self-love isn't is the likes of eating a bar of chocolate because you're worth it. Because sometimes it's nice to eat that bar of chocolate, but if that's what we're doing every day, then it's not self-love, because we're not giving our body the nutrition that it needs in order to combat illness and to feel good about itself. And there is a link between what you eat and how you feel. The more nutrient rich things that you eat and the more effort and energy you put into diet and nutrition, the better you'll actually start to feel emotionally, not just even physically. It's actually, you'll just start to feel better emotionally from it. So giving your time to people over and over again, like giving so much of your time and energy, even when you don't want to, even when you're tired, but you're always giving to someone else because you've got such a big heart. That is not self-love. Whenever you are saying yes all the time, whenever you want to say no, but you don't want to maybe upset the other person or let them down, or you feel like, well, they're relying on me, that is not self-love. Staying in a relationship where you're unhappy and you're not feeling fulfilled because you don't want to hurt the other person, because you made a commitment to the other person, that isn't self-love either. Skipping the haircut or the manicure because you feel like it's extravagant, or you should really clean your house instead, or whatever it might be, that isn't self-love either. Even like watching box sets constantly, if you find yourself sitting glued to reality TV all the time, like that isn't self-love either. All of these different things that we do where we think to ourselves, like, I do love myself, but I'm a really giving person. But actually we're over giving and overcompensating with other people rather than putting the attention towards ourselves. And actually, in order to properly love ourselves, we need to face ourselves. And that sometimes comes with hitting on things that we don't want to really deal with, or that we're not ready to change, habits that we're not ready to change within our life. And that's fine, because actually change is so much better when it happens gradually. And yes, you have these transformations of somebody just, they were 25 stone and overnight they just changed and they dropped the weight within 6 months and they've maintained that loss for the last 10 years. Sometimes those overnight transformations do happen, but actually what I have found in my own personal journey, and what I have found in the journey of those who I have coached and helped along their path, is the change happens gradually. And sometimes our mind resists it almost like resists the idea of change. It resists the concept of change because it's not ready. So that seed has to be planted. That seed has to be nurtured. That seed has to grow. And then we have to then start working on breaking the habit. And we have to start to actually do the good thing, like eating the fresh fruit, for example. If you don't like fruit and vegetables, but you're going to start, okay? So you're starting to eat the fresh fruit and vegetables because that seed has been nurtured for a while, and you know that the fresh fruit and vegetables is really good for you, and you want to be more healthy, you want to put more nutrients into your body. And then eventually you're finding, well, I had a really good day on that day because I had lots of fresh fruit. I made myself a smoothie, had vegetables with my dinner. And then all of a sudden I had 2 days where I had takeout, and I had like stuff from the oven, and we ordered pizza, and I went through McDonald's or In-N-Out or whatever your preference is. And then, you had fruit again, but we're gradually breaking the cycle. And actually, we're so hard on ourselves in terms of what we should and shouldn't be doing. And self-forgiveness is actually a really important part of self-love, like being able to forgive yourself for not being perfect, to reduce the expectations on the need to be perfect. Sometimes we have such high expectations for ourselves that we feel we'll never meet them, so we don't even try. And a lot of that could be just subconscious things rather than being in your conscious mind. But I am here to tell you that whenever you start to love yourself, it will absolutely change your world. It will change your life for the better. I actually had a situation where I've spoken about it before, but God had told me that there was a particular guy that I was interested in, who was going to come back onto my path, and he was going to propose. So I took from that, oh, he is my person. He is my person because I wanted it so, so badly. And that had been used as a carrot for me for so long. And I thought, well, gosh, if I'm better, if I improve myself, if I can transform who I am, then he'll want me too, because I'll be enough for him. And what I hadn't realised was that actually that was never going to be the prize. Him wanting me was never going to be the prize. Me getting to the stage where I was so invested in myself and so in love with myself that it didn't matter if he wanted me or not. That was the prize. I was the prize. My self-love was the prize. Getting to the stage where I couldn't even consider giving my time to another person because I knew that my time and energy was precious, and there was so many things that I was doing in my life and investing in myself, my walks, my work, my studies. I had so many different things going on that actually getting to the point where I was so self-invested, and I know a lot of people will think, well, that's you're just really full of yourself, Gemma, But actually, we should be in love with ourselves. We should be invested in our own growth. We should be invested in our investment. Because whenever we do that, we become so much more empowered. We become so much more confident. We become proper warriors. Whenever we're self-obsessed in a good way, then we become the sorts of people that are powerhouses, and we are unstoppable. I can remember reading about, I heard about something, I've heard it on TikTok a few times actually, and it was somebody telling this story about this woman, and the mark of a good woman was, well, she would give you the shirt off her back. She would do anything for anyone. And actually, when did doing things and over nurturing and giving to others become so good whenever it meant that we neglected ourselves? So what I am really encouraging you today to do is to come back to a place of feeling less guilt around self-love. Focus on how much more you can give to yourself, and actually allow yourself to feel good about the idea of that. And it might take a bit of a shift. It might take a bit of a time to be comfortable with that. But start and recognize that actually to give to yourself, to love yourself, and to put boundaries in place and say no a little bit more often, and feel okay about hurting their feelings or letting them down, because actually you want to feel good about your decision. Even though it's going to be uncomfortable for you to make that decision, you want to feel good about that decision and do the thing that you know is the right thing for you to do. So have a bit of a think about where in your day-to-day life, in your personal relationships, okay, if we focus on personal relationships first of all, and consider where you are actually not setting proper boundaries, or you're overgiving, or you're putting others' needs and thoughts and considerations first before you put yourself. And just do one thing to change something. It doesn't need to be a complete overhaul. Just do something that is a little bit different. Put a boundary in place. Don't reply to that message straight away. Tell that person, no, not today, but thank you. Just do something that's a little bit more different that will help you bring that self-love and that energy back to you, because I can guarantee that you are worth it, even if you're not fully seeing it right now. And this is a journey. We are all on this journey of self-love. It is going to be something where we're going to have to maybe go back and repeat a few steps and then expand on. But pour into yourself, because whenever your cup is full, whenever you are fully flourished and nourishing yourself, you can give people from the overflow. You can give to people from the overflow, and everybody benefits. Even the mums out there, women are very susceptible to this, to not giving as much to themselves and giving to the kids, their partner, their home, their parents. We have so many things in us because we're nurturing, but we're nurturing outside of us. We're so nurturing outside of us, and we're not nurturing enough to us. So start to turn that back around, pour into yourself. And what you will find is that things around you will completely change. The guys as well. If you pour into yourself and you are fully full, then people will start to benefit from the overflow. And that is the best place to be. Okay, so it has been so good to be here today. If you want to follow me on other channels, you can do so on TikTok and Instagram. I also write every week on Substack as well. I'm going to pin my link tree below, which has all of my links in there. You can get access to that. And I will look forward to seeing you next time. And don't forget about my book as well, Wisdom Proverbs for Today. So if you want some insight, it's not a religious book, first of all, for anybody that isn't religious but is more spiritual. It's really spiritual wisdom that helps us live life a little bit better and helps us overcome some of the hurdles and the challenges that might be present in there. So you can check that link out. And it has been a pleasure, and it will be a pleasure next time as well.